Hey everyone! Today I'm diving into the bizarre, the peculiar, and the downright strange book titles. I have some strange book titles in my collection and I want to explore them together with you. So, without further ado, let's get started. Let's start with this shelf. So, here I have the Authenticity Project. I think this is weird. Okay, let's put it here. I have this book. The Rest of Us Just Live Here. It's a very interesting title, if not weird. Also, what we have, The First to Die at the End, but I don't know if it's weird or not. Danny the Champion of the World, Down and Out in Paris and London. It's a bit strange. Sweet Soul and the Unlucky Pilgrimage of Harold. And The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. Also a bit strange. Okay, and also I have on these shelves, this is a bit weird, Cloud Cuckoo Land. The title, it's a bit weird, don't you think? Cloud Cuckoo Land, but I love the cover though, the cover is amazing. And here, do we have some weird titles here? Bag of Bones, but Stephen King's titles are more creepy than weird. The Dark Half, For Past Midnight. I don't see any weird titles here. Let's go to other shelves. So, End of Time, The Blind Assassin. Oh, this one I bought because of the title. It's called The End of the World Running Club, and I think the title it's a bit peculiar. Monster Calls. And on these shelves, oh, this one, it's a bit weird. The 100-year-old who climbed out the 100-year-old man who climbed out of the window and disappeared. It's hard to read it even, so I think this title it's a bit strange, at least. Ulysses and The Ageable Woman, also a bit strange, but Margaret Atwood's title are a bit strange. We have here and the Blind Assassin also, but The Ageable Woman I think it's weirder. Okay, from my unread books I think that's all. So the weirdest title for now, for me at least, are The End of the World Running Club. Okay, this one. The 100-year-old man who climbed out of the window and disappeared. I hope I pronounced every word right in this one. And The Ageable Woman, but I find the cover stranger than the title, to be honest. But let's put it here also. Okay, let's see. This one. The Rest of Us Just Live Here. Also peculiar. And this one, of course. Cloud Cuckoo Land. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. It's Cloud Cuckoo Land or Cloud Cuckoo Land. I don't know how to pronounce it, but this one is also peculiar. So, from these books, I should pick one now and read it. You know you love a book when you start reading it, And it begins with something like this. You might think he could have made up his mind earlier and been man enough to tell the other of his decision, but Alan Harrison had never been given to pondering things too long. So the idea had barely taken hold in the old man's head before he opened the window of his room on the ground floor of the old people's home in the town of Malcolmping and stepped out into the flower bed. This maneuver required a bit of effort, since Alan was 100 years old. On this very day, in fact. There was less than an hour to go before his birthday party would begin in the lounge of the old people's home. The mayor would be there, and the local paper, and all the other old people, and the entire staff led by bad-tempered director Alice. It was only the birthday boy himself who didn't intend to turn up. I didn't know this, but this book is written by a Sweden author. So Jonas Jonasson is a Sweden author, and I bought it because I thought that it will be like A Man Called Uwe or A Man Called Ove by Fredrik Backman, and I think I'm right because both authors are from Sweden. They have this Sweden style, maybe. They have this Sweden style of writing books, so I have high hopes for this one. I'm at the page 68, and for now this book feels like a combination of Fredrik Backman's books and the Thursday Murder Club series. So it's in that realm. I like it. It's interesting, but it's a bit hard to read because it has this, I don't know, Scandinavian style. Maybe. So let me explain this to you. There are no dialogues here, like at all. Maybe 2 or 3 lines, but that's all. Like almost non-existing dialogues. And people are talking, alright? They are talking, but there are no dialogues. So the author writes dialogues like this. Alan woke when the driver kindly nudged him and announced that they had now reached Birich station. Shortly afterwards, the driver maneuvered the suitcase out of the front door of the bus, with Alan close behind. The driver asked, but no dialogue, if he could now manage on his own, and Alan said that the driver had no need to worry in that respect. And all the dialogues are in this style. So if you love dialogues in books, this is not a book for you, because it's a bit different, let's say so. It's just a bit different. And I can't say that I don't like it, but it's a bit hard to get into this book because it's different than other books because of this aspect. So keep that in mind if you want to read this book. But what this book is about, you'll ask me. This book is about Alan, who is 100 years old, and he decides that he doesn't want to live in his old people's home anymore. So one morning he escapes through his window. He lives on the first floor. This is important because when I read the premise of this book I was like, how a 100 years old man can escape through a window. But he lives on the first floor, so it's okay. One day he makes his getaway. And everyone is looking for him. They even create a search party, so there is a search party that is looking also for him. One detective is also looking for him because he thinks that something isn't right here. But Alan is living his best life. He just wants to get out of this town. So he goes to this bus station and he takes the first ticket that is on the schedule. But one important thing here, before he gets on his bus, a young man leaves a suitcase. His suitcase, to be specific, and asks Alan to look after this suitcase. Because he wants to, how to put it, take a dump. He wants to go to the bathroom. But the bus has already arrived, and Alan doesn't know what to do with this suitcase. So he makes a decision. He decides to take the suitcase with him and go away because he is on the run. And this starts adventure for Alan because little he knows, but in this exactly suitcase, this suitcase contains a lot of money. 50 million crowns to be precise. You're never too old for an adventure is the exactly code for this book, because there is a lot of adventure in this book. This book, it's a bit hard, it's not a light reading, it seems that it is, but it's not. There are a lot of characters here and we are jumping from character to character, from place to place. Also, we are jumping from past to future because we are learning about Alan's past. Also, there are no dialogues, so it's not as light as it sounds, but after 30-40 pages you get used to it, you get used to the writing style and it gets a bit easier, let's say so. But if you want a light read, I don't think that this book is for you because it's not a very easy book to read, but it's interesting. If you like Fredrik Backman, if you like the Thursday Murder Club and you want to read something in that realm, something that will combine Fredrik Backman's style and the Thursday Murder Club, I think you will enjoy very much this book. I don't really know what to expect next, so let's go and read some more. So, let's talk about this book, guys. I finished it yesterday and I love it. I really love it. Maybe it's not a 5-star read for me because of the writing style. Like I said before, I didn't really like that there are no dialogues here and it was a bit harder for me to read it, but I really like it. Like I said before, it's a mix of Fredrik Backman's books, like for example A Man Called Uwe and Thursday Murder Club. But it's also a book on its own. It has its own style, it's a bit different from other books. It's character based, but also plot based. So it's like a mix, so it's very fast paced. So everything happens very fast. So you watch one character and then there is another character and then there is third character and there are a lot of characters here. If you are getting lost by reading about multiple characters, maybe this book isn't for you because there are a lot of characters. But also we are jumping in time from past to present. This isn't very complicated. You know when you are in past, you know when you are in present, so it's not like other books that I've read and I didn't understand where I am right now. If you didn't like history classes, read this book. Through Alan's life, the main character of this book, you will go to so many places, to so many countries. You will take part of the biggest events that ever happened since 1905 till 2005. You will take part in the most remarkable events that were happening in this period. I like this very much because I've learned a lot. I knew a lot from history classes, but I learned a lot in this book too. And take everything with a grain of salt because it's a fiction book. But it also tells about a lot of real stuff that were happening, and this is really cool. I've seen this in Stephen King's books, so he said that you should write character's life through the events that were happening at some point in their life. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but to understand the time when those events were happening, the writer should put some events in his text that were associated with those times. You don't need history classes, just read this book because it's better than a history class and you will learn a lot. It's a very funny book too. I laughed several times, like I laughed out loud when reading it. And it's a quirky book. with very morally gray, even morally black characters. So if you like the books that are very moral and you should learn something from them, this isn't your book, because this book has very morally gray characters. You root for bad people here, not for good people. It's very quirky, it's very weird sometimes, very unrealistical sometimes, so keep that in mind. But it's funny and it's interesting, and I really like it. Definitely recommend it to read. Don't get scared by the writing style, because I can promise that you will like this book. I want to read very fast something from the interview with the author here. So the question was, how did you come up with the idea of making the main character of your book a 100-year-old man who goes on the run around Sweden? And the author said that the story was among at least 20 others in his head. I said to myself that I wanted to read a book with such a title. I only had to write it first. So this strange, weird title came into author's head because he wanted to read a book with such a weird title, and I found it very interesting. Another question was, how do you write a book that becomes a best-selling novel? And the author said that, I'm sure there are as many ways as there are best-selling novels. My way was to write a feel-good novel. They say that laughter prolongs one's life. Imagine if I have prolonged someone's life. So you have prolonged my life, because I laughed when I was reading this book. And another question was, how do you foresee yourself as a 100-year-old man? And the author said, I hope that by then I will have Alan Carlson's carefree attitude. And a quote that I liked very much in this book was this one, and I want to take this quote into my life. I want to live by this quote. So the quote was, but what finally formed young Alan's philosophy of life were his mother's words when they received the news of his father's death. This isn't a spoiler, it's on 37th page. It took a while before the message seeped into his soul, but once there, it was there forever. Things are what they are, and whatever will be, will be. That meant, among other things, that you didn't make a fuss, especially when there was a good reason to do so. So, things are what they are, and whatever will be, will be. Thank you very much. The 100-year-old man who climbed out of the window and disappeared, for this quote. This basically is the best description of this book. Things are what they are, and whatever will be, will be.